My brothers and sisters, this Tuesday, Ezekiel, the great prophet of Lent, describes a beautiful vision, this stream of life-giving water that flows from a renewed temple. So Ezekiel was a prophet when the entire city of Jerusalem was destroyed. The people of Israel, all the artisans and craftsmen and mathematicians, they were all brought to Babylon as slaves. Ezekiel was there with them. And he was the one to say, God hasn't given up on us. They all knew the temple was destroyed. From the moment of the Babylonian fight and from their taking over of Jerusalem, we've never seen the ark again. It's gone. So imagine, that would be like in our own lives, heaven forbid, it will never happen, if all the Eucharist of the world was removed. That's the world Ezekiel lived in. And what did he say? God hasn't left us. He hasn't given up on his promises. He's speaking to a completely disorganized and completely sad people in exile. The temple, the promises, completely gone memory. That's where he's called to preach. But what does he say through this vision? He sees the holy temple and all the waters of the world coming through it. And he says, this water that goes through the temple irrigates and nourishes everything. It comes through the temple and gives life to the entire desert, everywhere around it. And that dynamic presence of God, giving absolute life, we see fulfilled in Jesus. 500 years later, that's when Jesus was born. 500 years for that little baby to fulfill these things in his life, death, and resurrection. In this gospel, Jesus does something for the man who's paralyzed for 38 years. He heals him in this unbelievable miracle. And then later, when Jesus sees him again, he says he should give up his sins so something worse may not happen to him. It's the sins. There is something worse, imagine, than not being able to walk. There's a soul crippled by sin, a heart paralyzed by revenge, a mind trapped in objectification or hatred. These are indeed some of the things worse than not being able to walk. And that's what Jesus is telling him. And he's telling each and every one of us. That river has been fulfilled in Jesus Christ, and that river will come to all of us in the life-giving waters at the end of time. That river of Christ's grace flows, never stops. It comes through every Mass, through every sacrament, to heal, to strengthen, and to give us life. It was an incredible miracle for that man, 38 years, to be able to walk again. But it's also a great miracle each Lent, when over 1 billion Catholics throughout the world, who may have been away, return in some way, have courage in some way, and can walk again spiritually. Lent is the time to remember in our prayer and our witness those who are disabled within, those who are paralyzed morally, those who are crippled spiritually, that through someone, not something, someone, those waters of Christ will touch them and make them whole. In some way, how can we be made whole? How can we be that someone to hold up another in need to the Lord today? May God bless you.